Welcome to my video for Lesson 4. When I first took SC0x a couple of years ago, this week's lesson was not included in the course. So yeah, I was pretty excited to see this new material here. So here we are in practice problem 2, local routing. Here we have the distances that were given to us for each of the customers. And what we want to do is we want to calculate the savings if we were to pair each of these customers into a single tour. And so this cell here represents customers 2 and 1, and in order to find the savings, we need to sum up the distance between customer 2 and the DC, this number, and the distance between customer 1 and the DC, this number. From that number, we're going to subtract from that the distance between those two customers. So generally, when working with Excel, I like to write a formula that I can copy down and across, but because the way this table is set up, it's going to be pretty hard to do that. So I'm going to copy this table over here, Control V, Control Transpose. So now when I write this formula, I'll take the distance from customer 2 to the DC, and when I copy this down and across, I want to lock this column. So I'm going to put a $sign here. Then I'll add the distance between customer 1 and the DC, and when I copy this down and across, I want this row to stay locked. I'll put a $sign here, and then I want to subtract the distance between the two customers, which is this number, and this is going to be a relative reference. And so this range that we're working with here, this is kind of a bad range to work with in Excel, and since we're going to be working with it a lot in this workbook, I'm going to create a named range. So I'm going to hold down the Control button and just select all of these cells, and then I'm going to come up here in this box and type savings and push enter. So now whenever I come up here and type in savings, it's going to highlight this whole entire range for us. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So I'm going to take our formula here, do Control C, type savings in this box, and then push Control V, and that's going to copy our formula into our range. So now we have all the savings for these different pairs, and we want to put all these numbers, all these savings numbers, into this table here. And we want to sort them. We want these numbers to be from largest to smallest. And so you're probably familiar with the max function. This function returns the largest value in a range, but here we want to use the large function, and this takes 2 parameters. And what's nice is this first parameter is our range. We can just type in savings because we created a named range for that. And as you see, our range is highlighted here. And then the second parameter is going to be the rank. And so, so 1 is going to return the largest value, number 2 the second largest, number 3 the third largest, and so on. And so we're going to copy down this formula and paste it. And so yeah, now we have this whole entire range, and it's sorted from largest to smallest. Okay, so this next part, we want to get the pair, the customer pair that's associated with this savings. And so we're going to do a lookup formula, and really if you look at this value right here, this 15.7, if you find that value in this table right here, what we want to do is bring back customer 6 and customer 3. So this is going to be kind of a tricky formula, and I'm going to do equals 15.7 equals this table range, just to give you an idea of what's going on here. And if I highlight this and push F9 on the keyboard, you're going to see a lot of true and, well, you can see a lot of falses show up. And then you're going to see one true here. And so really what it's doing is it's taking that 15.7 and it's comparing it against all these values in this table. And all these values that are not 15.7, it's returning false. And then this one true here, it's saying, okay, this 15.7 equals 15.7. So that's true. And in Excel, false, it's always going to equal 0 if you do any aggregation against it. And true, you'll get true whenever you get a value that's not 0. And so if I was to take this array and if I was to multiply it by this range here, let's see what would happen. So I'll come up here and push F9 again. And what that's going to do is that 15.7, everywhere where it said false, it's going to multiply it by the value here in this range. And all the falses, 0 times any number is going to return a 0. But down here, where it was true, it multiplied that true by 6, and it returned a 6 here. And so, yeah, this might not make a whole lot of sense right now, but just do the best you can to follow this logic. And so what we want to do then is we want to sum up all these numbers, and that will give us that 6 value. And so we're going to do a sum product formula. And so I'm going to do equals sum product, and then I'm going to do that same formula. This cell equals, then this table range. I'm going to lock that, and then I'm actually going to put these in parentheses. And then I'm going to multiply it by this column here. Okay, close that, and that will give us the value 5, so 26.2, fifth customer. Okay, and so now we're going to come up here and use an ampersand. This will concatenate, and any kind of text that we want, you got to put in quotation marks. We're going to put a hyphen there, and then close quotations, ampersand. And then take this exact same formula, paste it over here, and instead of this range here, we're going to take this range and push enter. Okay, so this is going to give us what we're looking for. Now, there's one more thing we're going to need to do, and if you notice here, for 10.9, there's two 10.9s in here. So whenever there's duplicates, this formula is not going to work. And so what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to make it so that our savings numbers, there's no duplicates in these, because in essence this is a lookup formula and you just can't have duplicates. So we're going to change these numbers just a little bit. So if we were to highlight this table, go to conditional formatting, and look at the duplicates, you see that there's quite a few duplicates here. And all these duplicates, they're not in the same column. So you can see 10.9 is in column C. It's also in column D. 18.7, these are in different columns. And 20, these are in different columns. And so in Excel, there's a column function. And depending on where you write this function, it's going to return the column that you're in. So right now I'm in column D. D is the 4th letter of the alphabet, so that's going to return a 4. If I copy that over, it'll return a 5, a 6, a 7, and so on. And so what we're going to do is we're going to come up here in our formula, and we're going to add column, and then we're going to divide that number by 1 with 12 zeros after it. So like a trillion. So what that's going to do is it's just going to increment that number just a tiny bit. And so I'm going to do Control C. Come here to savings, Control V. And so now we come back down here, we have the numbers that we're looking for. And so if I was to just kind of show you these two numbers, they really are like pretty much the same. but I've just incremented them just enough to make them different. So you see the 4 here and the 3 here. These are just barely different, but it's helping us do exactly what we want to. Okay, so for this last part, we want to figure out how many vans we are going to need to deliver to these customers. And then we also want to figure out which customers are going to be paired together. And so we're going to do this by just eyeballing it. If we were to write some Excel functions and try to calculate this through functions, we would need a lot of helper columns. It would be very complex logic. And so we're just going to eyeball this. And so here our capacity that was given to us is 50 boxes. And I'm just going to highlight this in green. And so we're just going to go down and just kind of go through this algorithm. And so for this pair 5, 4, if we were to add these together, we would get this would be greater than 50. And so this will not work. So we'll move to the next pair of 6, 4. And if we added these together, this will be less than 50. And so these will be able to ride on our van. So I'll sum those together. And then we have 6, 5. And customer 5, this is 42 boxes. And so this could not fit on our van. This will be greater than 50. And this is all or nothing. We can't just take part of, customer 5. We either have to take all of it or none of it. And so we go to the next one, customer 3, and once again, 25 plus 32, it's going to be greater than 50. We can't use customer 3. Once again, we have customer 3 here. That won't work. So now we have customers 5 and 3. These are 2 new customers. These will not fit on this truck. If we were to have a second van, they would also not fit on the truck because 42 plus 25 is greater than 50. And really, from here, we can even tell that customer 5, it's going to be on its own van because it's already pretty close to the capacity. So continuing on with our algorithm, we'll look at customer, this pair 3, 2, and if we were to add these together, we'd get 43, and these would not fit on our first van. However, because these are 2 new customers, they will fit on the second van. So we're going to format that, and we're going to put customers 3 and 2 on their own van. Okay, and from here we're actually done. And the reason that we're done is van 1, it has customers 6 and 4, and van 2 has customers 3 and 2. And the only 2 customers that we have left are 1 and 6. Sorry, 1 and 5. And customer 1 will not fit on any of these vans because it would exceed the capacity. And customer 5 would not fit on any of the vans. And also, if you summed up customer 5 with 1, that wouldn't fit on its own van, either. And so really, customer 1, that would need to fit on its own van, and customer 5, that would need to fit on its own van. And so really, we're going to have 4 vans here, and that's going to be our answer.